on, what day was it? It was Saturday, 19 November 2022. So a few days under 9 months ago, I put out a video where I discussed running training could-be's, including increasing volume, so like training volume, for running. And so I'm going to link to that video in the video description. Here I'm going to revisit the running training could-be of increasing training volume or increasing volume. If I were to pursue running as a more of a full-time endeavor, currently it's just trying to work it into my routine, but like, let's say I wanted to compete and make it like more of a full-time pursuit, what would that entail? So that's the introduction up first. Oh, so this is increasing training volume. It's kind of, in athletics, it's kind of called increasing volume, but outside of it, training volume specifically, because running would be about the same. My race is the 1 mile run, so I'm not increasing the volume of the race. So more specifically, training volume. So first is exercise. So I've worked through this. I think the hardest thing for me is I used to do swimming, pool swimming, and my knees took a hammering with breaststroke, and I have not experienced a hammering with my running. So, however, I do not want to push that. So being mindful of my body, and especially now that's a little bit older, thinking about that. So rowing and strength training, I would keep that about the same of what I currently do, which is about an hour between the two. Currently about 50-50, and it's about an hour. It can be a few minutes over kind of thing. Up next, I would like to, so something that would be easier on the knees, less impact, would be elliptical, approximately 45 to 75 minutes a day, and or stationary bicycle. So I'm gonna work on introducing a stationary bicycle to my routine, possibly, for lower volume. So, and this is per day, approximately, for a training day. And if I did an elliptical, I would get a lighter weight, lower resistance elliptical so that it mimics road running more closely. And those conditions are better for like building up sprinting within a longer run stamina, I have found. And then the third exercise segment for a single day would be running, and that would be 45 to 75 minutes. And that would take on the character that it needs to take on. So if it's like a 6 mile run and then work on sprints or work on starts or something, keeping it, I have found 45 to 75 minutes to be good training on a daily thing for me in the past. My knees don't get overly worked, and I don't burn out on the running, that kind of thing. So, but I still need to work on other things. So choosing exercises that help build up the muscles or retain muscle strength, kind of for competition. And then the last one would be Pilates and or sweet loving. So if I'm living with my soulmate and or soulmates kind of thing in training, Pilates and or sweet loving would be 120 to 180 minutes per day, especially if my soulmate and I, or my soulmate, has a very voracious appetite for sweet loving. You know, him on top of me, belly to belly, face to face, that kind of thing. Yeah. So making sure that my family, in that sense, my soulmate and or soulmate, don't get neglected with my training. And because that does work one's body, that instead of taking that into account and being like, well, that means not additional physical exertion on top of the training, just figure out how to accommodate it. So that's training. And diet, so this is going to be food. So I'm going to do baseline of the Tanis diet with PMS modifications in terms of calories for 2 hours of training. So if I'm doing 2 hours of training, use the calories from the Tanis diet with PMS modifications. I'm working on developing low volume running, which I'm going to guess ends up being pretty similar, but the calories here are the key. And then the Tanis diet, develop the Tanis diet modified to 4 to, I think it ends up being 7 hours daily of training, depending on where I am, kind of in the spread of how many minutes I do of each thing. So essentially developing a new diet for the higher volume training. What would I do with the extra calories on top of what I already eat? Emphasize proteins and vegetables for additional calories above baseline. So if 2,180 calories is my baseline, above that, work on things I don't get so much in my diet currently, which would be vegetables and proteins. And then, yeah, sweet and or savory eats videos would be cool, if like especially if Nicola was in charge of my channel or something. It'd be fun to do. If you could do like a daily eating video or something, because it is appearing like the food videos, so something like that. Sharing my diet and the training, but through diet is one way that we already have some footing for. And then up last is my coach, so that stays the same, stays me. I was terrified. I was like, I don't even know if I could come up with a day workout. And I'm like, well, it's not about starting with the day workout. It's about building up to it and finding the right thing for what I'm training for. And so, and getting back to running has helped me with that confidence a bit. Also, I want to be my own DJ. I used to do that with running, and now I'm like doing a hybrid. So I'll do like a small playlist with songs I pick. And in the past, I used to order them. So whenever I went for a run, it would play the playlist as I ordered it. I'm not quite back to that now. Now I rely on shuffle within the playlist of the small selection of songs I choose. So it's a hybrid, but I would go back to me being a DJ, I guess. Yeah. And then I'm also going to revisit quickly before I do my conclusion, revisiting personal best times from last multi-year training push. So that would be 2006 to 2012. My 1 mile run time for that push was 4 minutes and 56 seconds, approximately April 2012 in South Africa, and I was 19 years of age. And then my 5 kilometer run or 3.1 mile run was 18 minutes and 18 seconds, approximately April 2012 in South Africa, 19 years of age. And what I did was I ran, it was like a 4 mile loop, and the first mile was my mile time, and then the first 5 kilometers was my 5K time. And so they were both part of a longer run, but those were my PBs. Yeah, personal bests. So in conclusion, would this actually come about? It's a training, could be, doesn't mean it happens. It'd be cool to do it with my soulmate and or soulmates. It could be even wilder if I was their coach, and they decided to do this with me or something. But there's room for YouTube in all of this if I did something like this, especially if I had my soulmate and or soulmates. But as of this point in time, do I think it'll happen? I do not know. I genuinely do not know. I am just focused on trying to routinize running in my higher volume compared to a 1 mile run each day, 5.8 mile loop each day of road running. In road walking is a bit of an adjustment for me currently. So I'm focusing on that, but still addressing, there were bigger dreams before I was like, oh yeah, this kind of sucks when it gets to be more mileage, you know, but like only, eventually it normalizes, and like what tends to happen is eventually it feels good and my times get fast, and it actually feels good to run the loop and run fast, and I can feel the fast, and I start to be able to play with, I want to sprint this part or do something for this part. I'm just nowhere near that currently. So I'm adjusting. Yeah. But that's just revisiting. My running training could be of increasing training volume. Happy Monday, as of filming this, 14 August 2023, in City of Shoreline, King County, Washington State, United States of America, Planet Earth, the original.